Welcome back to Mendocino Rendezvous. The second day of our Northern California trip would take us from Joseph, Oregon to Alturas, California. Leaving Joseph, the weather, albeit slightly overcast, still seemed to be cooperating in our favor. Retracing our route, we'd head back north to Enterprise before turning south. Other than some minor construction delays, the trip was going smoothly. Looping north from Enterprise, we once again dropped southward to La Grande, Baker City, and John Day. By now, I was becoming used to the much preferred two-lane roads we'd covered, and didn't mind getting back to that kind of riding. Although Mother Nature sent us a few cloudy skies, inclement weather held off. Soon, that wouldn't be the case, however. I was feeling that it was time for a coffee break, but where?
I thought that, what's that mean?
Coffee!
Go!
I didn't have a clue as to what was down the road in front of us, but with Dan's prompt, I was now leading the search. Well, that cafe was closed up tight. Nothing left to do except keep moving south.
Welcome to Prairie City.
Entering the small burg of Prairie City, Oregon, we rolled up to Roan Coffee for a cup of joe.
Okay, a quad cappuccino, and I think I can stay awake for a little while.
Caffeine uptake complete, I was once again awake enough to get back on the highway.
We're headed for Burns, Oregon. Beautiful countryside.
We'd arrived in John Day. It was my first time there, and it wasn't what I had imagined. I'm not sure what I had expected really, but it did have that nice small town feel. As was the case throughout much of the Northwest, heavy winter snowfall and rapid spring melt meant that rivers and streams were flowing fast and hot. Once out of town, Dan was off like a rocket. A little further south, light rain began to fall.
Well, the first raindrops of the trip, but I think we're going to ride out of it. Maybe. We shall see.
It did continue to rain for several miles, but this was to be the least of it. With my climb riding gear, I was dry and relatively comfortable, but Dan's rain pants had seen better days, leaving his lower half soaked. As we'd hoped, we did ride out of the stormy skies. News reports spoke of Burns, Oregon area flooding. Fortunately, none of that would affect our journey south. But that didn't mean the rest of the ride to Alturas, California would be a dry one. Recent heavy rains left floodwaters lapping at the shoulders of the road.
Well, it looks like it could be a wet one up above, and I just put my lightweight gloves on. I think I'm going to have to pee.
In the distance, cinder cones rose up from the flat Central Oregon landscape.
We still got snow on the hilltops over there.
Although it was the beginning of May, Mother Nature wasn't quite ready to release her winter grip. And the skies ahead were looking dark and stormy. The weather was about to get nasty.
Batten down the hatches, boys. It's going to be a wet one. This is interesting. We got sandstorm. We got rain coming. This is going to be great. I just had to stop and put my good glove on.
Because of diminishing visibility, I thought it best to switch on the LEDs.
And then the rains came. The wind is walking over these mountains, trying to push us to the right side of the road. It's about to get dark and stormy.
With the winds howling, sand blowing across the roadway, and rain beginning to fall, I wasn't worried about getting soaked. My climb adventure gear and seedy boots have never failed me.
Yep, the weather is in the weeds, and Dan's pants are not waterproof. Oh my. I stopped a while back to put my waterproof gloves on, and I'm glad I did. I think Dan was counting on a rest stop up here somewhere that we could pull into and he could put his dry pants on, but how far is it? We're in the soup, baby. Oh, but hey, the sky's gonna get lighter up ahead, right? I think the rain will slow down. Well, we went from about 61 or 2, 3 degrees, something like that Fahrenheit, down to 46, it said over there. That's a little bit of a change. Maybe it'll be a little warmer in California. Maybe.
About midway past Albert Lake, we slogged our way to the other side of the squall.
The level of the lake is certainly down.
After seeing the high waters around Burns, Oregon, I was a bit taken aback by Albert Lake's receded waters.
And just like that, we're back in the sunshine. How about that?
Drier pavement was certainly a welcome sign.
Not much going on in Valley Falls.
Passing through Lakeview, Oregon, we were getting very close to the California border. The skies to the southwest were looking dark and gloomy. I'd hoped we'd skirt that mess, but it was about to get gnarly.
Welcome to California, folks. 39 miles to go to our destination. Our home for the night, anyway. And we might not be out of the moist air, shall we say.
Moist? That wouldn't describe it in the least.
Back into rain mode we go on the dash. A little extra help from traction control.
Indeed, traction control is a wonderful thing. For a moment, I thought we might be in the clear. But to the west, we could see the wall of water pouring from the clouds. The next thing I knew, we were being pelted with hail. It was now abundantly clear why the woman in the oncoming lane had been flashing her lights and motioning for us to turn around. Visibility was such that I could barely see Dan, and I wondered if I'd get stopped in time to avoid a collision.
Oh, this is fun. We got hail piling up.
A freak hailstorm had deposited nearly 1.5 inches on some portions of the road. I felt for Dan, as he was riding on street tires, while my Moto's GPS ADV tires were better suited to the slippery stuff. Stopping just in time to avoid disaster, now it was time to seek out the ruts in the hail left by a previous four-wheeler. Flashers engaged, I prayed traffic behind us would slow down and avoid smacking into us from the rear. The flush was deep, but thankfully only 1/4 to 1/3 of a mile long. Slippery, yes, but we made it through without sending neither the bikes or the riders to the ground. Of course, the roadway was still sloppy, and oncoming cars didn't mind dousing us with their slushy spray. I guess they've never ridden a motorcycle in these kinds of conditions, or at least I should give them the benefit of doubt.
Slow the down!
My temporary road rage relieved, once again the skies ahead lightened up, and we weren't far from a night's rest.
Yeehaw, we made it to Altura. The wind, the rain, the hail, nothing could stop it. Here we are.
I think we were both very glad to be out of the rain, close to a hotel room, a hot meal, and a beer.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an adventure without some adventure.
Just not long after we left Lakeview, we were getting into where it was really dark. Lady was flashing her lights at us and she was going like this. I don't know, did you catch that?
Yeah.
I didn't know what she meant. If the car in front of us hadn't hit it, I would have probably come back around.
Shedding the riding gear, we took the short walk to the Mexican restaurant, had a meal and some libations. Then it was back to the motel for some shut-eye. Hopeful that tomorrow we'd be riding in better weather. California coastline, here we come.